let's discuss the history of fossil fuels. Deep beneath our feet lies an ancient energy source that has powered human civilization for centuries. Fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas, are the remains of prehistoric plants and animals transformed by heat and pressure over millions of years into energy-rich carbon compounds. This story begins roughly 360 million years ago during the Carboniferous period, when vast swamps covered much of Earth's landmass. As ancient plants and organisms died, they sank into these oxygen-poor environments where they couldn't fully decompose. Layer upon layer of this organic material accumulated and was gradually buried deeper. Over immense stretches of time, as these remains were subjected to increasing heat and pressure, they transformed. Plant matter primarily became coal, while marine organisms like algae and plankton became the precursors to oil and natural gas. Humans have used coal since ancient times. The Chinese were mining it as early as 3000 BCE, while the Romans used it in Britain. However, fossil fuels remained a relatively minor energy source until the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century. The invention of the steam engine by James Watt in 1776 created unprecedented demand for coal. Suddenly, this black rock could power factories, locomotives, and eventually electricity generation. Coal fueled the industrial transformation of Europe and North America, dramatically increasing productivity while also creating pollution and dangerous working conditions in mines. Oil's story took longer to unfold. While petroleum seeps were known and used since ancient times, the modern oil industry began in 1859 when Edwin Drake drilled the first commercial oil well in Titusville, Pennsylvania. This breakthrough came just as whale oil, then used for lighting, was becoming scarce and expensive. The discovery of how to refine crude oil into kerosene initially made it valuable for lighting. Later, the invention of the automobile created enormous demand for gasoline, another petroleum product. By the early 20th century, oil companies like Standard Oil, Shell, and BP were expanding globally. Natural gas, often found alongside oil deposits, was initially considered a nuisance and was frequently burned off. Only in the 20th century did extensive pipeline networks develop, allowing this cleaner-burning fossil fuel to be transported and used efficiently. The 20th century saw fossil fuels become the foundation of the global economy. Oil, in particular, became so vital that it shaped geopolitics, leading to the formation of OPEC in 1960 and triggering global crises during the oil shocks of the 1970s. Technological advances continued to expand fossil fuel access. Offshore drilling began in the 1930s and pushed into ever deeper waters. The early 21st century saw the fracking revolution unlock previously inaccessible oil and gas reserves, temporarily making the United States the world's largest producer. However, our understanding of fossil fuels' environmental impact has evolved dramatically. Scientists have established that burning these carbon-rich fuels releases greenhouse gases that drive climate change. Additionally, extraction processes can damage ecosystems, while air pollution from combustion causes significant health problems. Today, we find ourselves at a crossroads. Fossil fuels still provide about 80% of global energy and remain essential for transportation, electricity, and manufacturing. Yet the urgent need to address climate change is driving a transition toward renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and hydropower. This transition presents both challenges and opportunities. While moving away from fossil fuels requires massive infrastructure changes and economic adjustments, it also spurs innovation and creates new industries. The history of fossil fuels is, in many ways, the history of modern civilization itself. A story of remarkable ingenuity and progress, but also of unforeseen consequences that we now must address for the sake of our planet's future.